I was lost. 76,000 square foot house by yourself. Lost.
Shaquille O'Neal is universally known for dominating the paint, snatching rebounds, and shattering backboards during his Hall of Fame NBA career. Yet away from the bright lights and the roar of the crowd, he has faced his share of personal challenges, particularly where family is concerned. Of all the stories surrounding him, the one turning heads involves his relationship with his ex-wife, Shaunie, and the unfiltered honesty he has shown when reflecting on their marriage. According to multiple sources, including an interview Shaq gave to People and insights from Basketball Network, the legendary big man blames himself for how things ended. He openly admits he messed up, including failing to maintain boundaries and discipline in the household. Now, a twist in their evolving narrative has him expressing regret over how he handled not just his role as a husband, but also, shockingly, his role as a stepfather figure.
My father used to come into class and whoop me in front of everybody. I was a major high-level juvenile delinquent that could have definitely been in trouble all the time.
Rewind to the late 1990s. Shaq was already an NBA superstar, a charismatic presence with rings in mind and endorsements piling up. Shaunie, who also had a son from a previous relationship, was a savvy go-getter from Los Angeles. The two crossed paths, drawn together by the magnetic energies of stardom and ambition. Back then, few could have predicted that their romance would evolve into a marriage with 5 kids, some from their union, others from previous relationships. Yet, it happened, and fans were fascinated by the idea of a sports icon taking on a fatherly role for children beyond just those biologically his.
My kids are older now, and they're kind of upset with me. Not really upset, but they don't understand, because I tell them all the time.
They appeared strong, at least from the outside. The media would show them strolling red carpets, smiling for cameras, Shaq occasionally making jokes about their huge height difference. For a while, the marriage seemed storybook. They married in December 2002, formalizing a relationship that had already produced 2 children together. Shaq also embraced Shaunie's older son, Miles, from a prior relationship, effectively stepping into the role of a stepfather. On the surface, it was a big, blended family living a luxurious life under the Hollywood sun. But as time passed, illusions faded. According to multiple sources, including People and ESPN anecdotes, rumors of Shaq's extramarital affairs began to swirl. Shaunie eventually discovered evidence of his infidelity. He has since acknowledged he was the one who messed up. It was a reality check for fans who saw Shaq as this larger-than-life hero. He was, in fact, flawed, like everyone else.
I was just being greedy. I had the perfect situation. Wife was finer than a mug.
Publicly, Shaq would flash his signature grin and comedic flair, but behind closed doors, his marriage was on thin ice. In 2007, he filed for divorce. The filing surprised some fans, but insiders say the tension had been brewing for years. Then, in 2009, Shaunie countersued, citing irreconcilable differences. By 2010, their marriage was officially over. A marriage ending in divorce is not unusual, especially among celebrities. However, what set Shaq apart was his introspection. He went on record, in interviews like those documented by Basketball Network and his own memoir, admitting that he was at fault. "It was all me," he said. "She was awesome. I was bad." The transparency was refreshing yet heartbreaking. He recognized the damage, the heartbreak Shaunie felt, the disruption to their children's lives, and even the repercussions for Shaunie's older son, Miles.
My mom played me. She said I had to be here to sign for a furniture delivery, but I walk into this big party.
Don't you like surprises, Mom?
I love surprises.
Where does the stepfather aspect factor into this? From the start, Shaq had embraced Shaunie's eldest child, Miles, treating him like his own. Back in the early 2000s, it was a big statement for an NBA star to openly love and provide for someone else's kid. This move earned Shaq praise from fans who admired his paternal instincts. The time they spent as a unified family, Shaq, Shaunie, Miles, and then their younger children, painted a portrait of a devoted father figure stepping up in every sense of the word.
I have 3 daughters and I have 3 sons. 3 sons. I have my 6 children. I said, look, we don't need another basketball player. Your daddy's crazy.
But it wasn't just about providing a lavish lifestyle. Insiders say that Shaq made sure Miles went to the best schools, engaged in extracurricular activities, and enjoyed perks ranging from courtside seats to visits to Disney World. He even bragged about "my kids" with no asterisks. He claimed them all, Miles included, blurring lines between step and biological children. Still, living in Shaq's household wasn't all fun and games. By his own admission, Shaq's job was to bring comedic relief, but also set boundaries. Did he succeed in that? Many recall how, in interviews, Shaq would half joke that the kids needed discipline, or how he tried to pass on a hard work equals success ethic. Yet as we now know, the marriage's foundation was not stable. If a father figure is found to be unfaithful or absent in crucial emotional moments, the discipline and moral teachings can ring hollow.
3 sons. When you're 18, get out. Now, while you're out, better get 1 degree, 2 degrees before you come messing with me.
Fast forward to the present. Shaunie has remarried. Her new husband is Pastor Keon Henderson. She's also been on a press run for her memoir and personal brand, and in doing so, she's dropped bombshell revelations regarding her perspective on her time with Shaq. That includes talk about feeling unloved, disconnected, or not fully in sync with who he was. More specifically, she's shared her sense of heartbreak over how Shaq's alleged disconnect from his own children weighed on her. In an interview with Essentially Sports, she reflected on the regrets she harbored, especially when Shaq severed bonds with the kids or wasn't consistently present during important milestones. She also mentioned how she sometimes felt guilty and frustrated at his emotional absence. The comments have left fans stunned. Did Shaq, the big friendly giant, fail to keep up with his parental responsibilities?
To many, I'm the ex-wife of former NBA superstar Shaquille O'Neal.
You dropping the O'Neal?
I'm dropping O'Neal.
According to Shaunie's version, she faced a crossroads: remain silent, accept the status quo, or speak out for the kids' well-being. She claims she chose to speak up, pushing him to re-establish closer ties, especially with the older kids. Some watchers suspect that her outspokenness contributed to the friction in their marriage, culminating in an environment of distrust. Regardless, the biggest jaw-dropper is that she believed Shaq's emotional distance from the children, particularly from Miles, fueled her decision to finalize the divorce. In the swirl of these revelations, Shaq has been left in tears, literally or metaphorically, depending on who you ask. Friends close to the NBA icon say he's become introspective, ruminating on how he could have done better. In a snippet from a Reddit pop culture chat, a user posted that Shaq was seen having a tearful moment backstage at a charity event, potentially referencing the regrets swirling around him. Whether that's an accurate depiction or rumor, the theme remains consistent. Shaq is grappling with a weight of regret tied to not just infidelity, but also to how he navigated fatherhood with a stepchild in the mix.
Time we spend together is on the basketball court. And Shakira is me, so I could turn up the volume on him.
In a rare display of vulnerability, Shaq took to People magazine to say the divorce was entirely on him, admitting he messed up, period. He refrained from airing dirty laundry about Shaunie or overshadowing her narrative. Instead, he put his own faults under the microscope. He noted that he had all the control in the relationship. "I was making a bunch of mistakes," he said, "and I was not giving her the time and attention she deserved." He added that he got too caught up in the glamorous life of an NBA star to check in emotionally with his family. The sincerity of his apology has garnered widespread respect. Yet, behind the scenes, sources say Shaq particularly regrets not giving more attention to Miles. While they had a decent bond, the emotional connection may have suffered whenever tension rose between Shaq and Shaunie. A stepfather's role is intricate, requiring both emotional readiness and respect for boundaries that a mother and her child may have set. If Shaq neglected those nuances, it would certainly feed into his regrets today.
What the hell are you doing, Shaunie? Living with her parents again, Shaunie? Bad decision, Shaunie. I will fight you about my kid.
One of the more pressing questions is how the children, particularly Miles, perceive all this drama. While none have given a detailed public statement, small hints pop up via social media. According to Essentially Sports, at least one of Shaq's younger kids expressed jealousy that their mother was crying only for Mira, leaving them feeling left out. That might reflect a household dynamic where not every child felt equally nurtured. Did this dynamic extend to how Shaq handled his stepchild? Possibly.
I don't like to put pressure on my babies, but she works out with my sons, and I think it's fair to say one day if she continues, Mira will probably be the best women's basketball player ever.
Miles doesn't post often about Shaq on his social channels. Some interpret that as a sign of residual tensions. Others say it's simply that Miles wants to keep private, especially after seeing how the rest of the family is always in tabloids. And let's not forget, Miles is an adult now, carving his own path away from the Shaq stepson label. However, glimpses from family photos suggest that any wounds might not be entirely healed, yet they do stand together for major events.
He's my son. I have a key. I'm doing it.
Meanwhile, Shaunie remarried to Pastor Keon Henderson, who runs a megachurch. She stepped into the role of a first lady, as some might call it, though that label can vary in religious communities. Interestingly, her new husband has welcomed Shaunie's children, forging his own bond as a stepfather figure. This scenario has ironically reversed Shaq's old role. Essentially Sports reported how, on a recent Father's Day, Shaq's youngest daughter publicly showed love to Pastor Henderson, praising him for stepping in where needed. The subtle undertone, an acknowledgement that Shaq's fatherly presence, while iconic in many ways, fell short at times. This kind of public appreciation for a new paternal figure can be a bitter pill for someone like Shaq to swallow.
But most recently, you may know me as the wife of Keon Henderson.
My whole last name gonna change.
That's Mrs. Henderson to you.
Given Shaunie's interviews, one might interpret her narrative as she finally found someone who provides emotional and spiritual leadership. Fans see it as a sign that she was searching for qualities Shaq either didn't or couldn't offer consistently. Another corner of the audience suggests that love is a choice, and she's made a choice to put the past behind her. The problem arises when these revelations paint Shaq in a less than stellar light, stirring up his feelings of guilt and regret. At this point, Shaq's regrets about being a stepdad and not fully committing to the emotional well-being of all his children, especially Miles, have manifested in open confessions. But if there's any silver lining, it's that Shaq is still around, healthy, wealthy, and capable of forging stronger bonds. He's spoken numerous times about self-growth, even dabbling in motivational speaking about fatherhood. He's known to highlight "the kids come first" in interviews with ESPN, acknowledging that building better relationships is his ultimate priority now.
Kids are older now, and they're kind of upset with me. Not really upset, but they don't understand. Because I tell them all the time.
As for Shaunie, she's found new love, stepping forward as a pastor's wife and forging a fresh start. While some see her sensational public revelations as a marketing push for her new brand, especially with her memoir in the works, others see it simply as Shaunie owning her truth. She claims it's meant to help other women realize they need to advocate for themselves, especially if a partner fails to connect emotionally with their children. From her vantage, she's rewriting her story, overshadowing any memories of the cheated-on ex-wife. And who's left in tears but Shaq? Possibly more figurative than literal, but the heartbreak lingers. He's recognized that money, fame, and comedic presence couldn't salvage a marriage if deeper emotional needs went unmet. He regrets not handling his stepfather role more carefully, regrets letting infidelity overshadow the trust-building steps essential for a blended family's success. The question becomes whether he can apply these lessons going forward, bridging any lingering emotional gaps with his children, step or otherwise.
We ain't rich. I'm rich. If you want me to invest in one of your companies, you're going to have to present it, boom, 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 bring it to me.
It might be a rough journey, but if Shaq's known for anything besides dunking, it's resilience. He may not have scored a lifetime ring with Shaunie, but he's earned a chance at redemption, one FaceTime call, one heartfelt conversation at a time. The tears, the confessions, the regrets, They're all stepping stones on a path that might ultimately help him mend fences, both within himself and with those he once hurt, inadvertently or otherwise.
We just caught up with Shaunie.
I saw that.
What are your comments on that? How do you respond to that?
Moms are more sensitive, but
No one expects a perfect ending. This is real life, not a sports movie. Yet the legacy of love, fatherhood, and second chances remains as big as Shaq's size 22 shoes. If anything, the entire saga underscores a key lesson. You can't always rely on fame to patch up personal failings, nor can you dismiss the emotional weight of stepping into a paternal role for a partner's child. Sometimes, the greatest regrets come not from missed shots on the court, but missed opportunities at home. What do you think about Shaq's confessions? Do you believe Shaunie's perspective is fair, or is she making Shaq's regrets a stepping stone for her new brand and memoir? And how about that stepfather role? Should the blame be placed entirely on Shaq, or is this a shared responsibility? Let's hear your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Celeb Titbits for more juicy updates on your favorite Hollywood and hip-hop personalities. We want all your takes: who's right, who's wrong, and who needs to come clean. Keep the conversation rolling, and we'll see you in the next update full of insider drama and surprise revelations. Stay tuned.